Hey, welcome to Pink Lion Podcast. Today, I have a special guest. My guest today is Todd. Todd, say hi to everybody. Todd and I want to have a conversation about his life, his wife passing just a few months ago in December of 2025. And knowing that grief, as you move through it, it's a process. He doesn't have anything figured out yet. He is moving through it as we all do, not sidestepping it. And inside of that movement, Todd's experienced a few different things, has come to some realizations. And I feel like this is an important conversation to have with all of you because we all should be sharing our experiences to make the things that we are experiencing normalized. That's my thought anyway. What are your thoughts, Todd?
I totally agree with you 100%. In this whole process, there's a lot of people feeling like the steps that we're taking aren't normal. So I agree.
And I know that your world just got turned upside down in an instant when your wife, Missy, passed. So
Yes.
I wanted to talk about your story and introduce the world to Missy and who she was and what she means to you.
Um, well, um, Missy, from the moment I saw her, but very moment I saw her, I really didn't know who she was. We had gone to school together, but I didn't know her. Um, but I nudged a guy next to me and I said, man, I will marry that woman one day before I even knew who she was.
I love it.
Um, yeah, so, I knew I was going to marry her before then. Um, you know, she was definitely the other half of me. She completed me 100%. Um, she was the calm in my storm. I was the storm in her calm. Um,
Mhm.
that's that, and Missy was full of love. She loved anybody and everybody. There wasn't a person that she didn't know. Um,
Mhm.
she could walk into a room, 100 people that were strangers, and walk out with 100 new friends. She was just full of love. And that's basically Missy in a nutshell.
I think that's great. And when did you guys get married? How long were you married?
The marriage was a whole lot less than our relationship. We actually got married in 16 at her dad's bedside as he was passing away, pretty much. But we were together since 93, 32 and a half
Oh,
years.
wow. That's a long time. That's a long time. And do you two share children?
Yeah, we have two together. Um, she had three from a previous marriage, and I had two from a previous marriage, so we had seven in total.
Oh, wow. That is a full house. That's a
Yes,
full house. And with children comes, stress and problems sometimes. How did you
yes.
guys navigate?
Oh, some of them are really hard, but it was it was a lot of communication. And at one point, there was a journal. I still have it. There's a lot of entries in 93, 94, and 95. But we actually wrote in this journal back and forth to each other um, because, sometimes things get said and it's not really what was meant. So we were able to write to each other through this journal and understand what somebody was saying and trying to really truly mean. So that journal helped us out a lot in the beginning because there was a lot of between exes and stuff like that. There was a lot of real issues in the first 2 years.
Yeah,
Other than that,
there would
other
be.
yeah, other than that, it's a lot of communication, understanding, and you know, every night you could be mad at a person and still
Mhm.
go to bed mad at them, but always turn around and say, hey, I'm a little mad at you right now, but I still love you. I mean, let them know you love them.
So, you guys have these moments that are very real, like the rest of us, they're not all perfect. What would you say were the best things about your marriage? And maybe follow that up with what were some of the more difficult things?
Oh, all right. Well, Just gonna be complete honest with you. Um, some of the best things of our marriage was complete acceptance of who each other was, no matter what the situation was. Um, understanding that we understood each other, that we screwed up, and we forgave each other for the screw ups. Um, you know, um, the best thing, man, there's so many best things. My kids, um, she accepted me, man. I wasn't the best man in the world, to handle. Um, I got a lot of baggage that comes with me from childhood and stuff like that. I give her credit for, accepting me every night that she went to bed.
Yeah.
Um, but we did everything together. That's for sure. There wasn't never a, there wasn't never a you do, I do thing. It was always a shared thing. So, you know, there, there's a lot of great things about our marriage. Um,
That's
the the bad, you know, and I really hate talking bad about my wife. I really do. But there's things about her that, a lot of people would have probably turned and left out the door. Um, we we went through infidelity, and substance abuse. Um, and not me. Um, and I stood by her side the entire time. Um, and still love the woman that I knew 32 years ago, 30 years ago, 20 years ago.
Mhm.
That was probably the worst times that we had, and that was over the last, unfortunately, 5 years ago, for most of it.
I think that that's an honest answer, and I wouldn't expect anything less of you because when we're truthful to ourselves about the situation, we can have discernment and know what our truth is. But then how to move through things. If we deny or dismiss or sidestep, that's just delaying the inevitable, right?
Yes.
What is and how to forgive and how to get to that peace place, which it sounds like you did within your marriage. And everybody's marriage is different. We all have our ups and downs. So there's no judgment here for sure. But we're going to fast forward through time from those 5 years and just kind of talk about the final moments of what happened. You can say as little or as much as you'd like here. I don't feel like details are important, just more like the facts of what happened, and then share how you've been processing things, how your life has shifted since she's passed.
December 6th of 25, um, early in the morning, she basically passed away of heart failure, is what they said. And, that's just such a broad term. So it was kind of rough on me to accept that that's what she passed away from. Um, my doctor said, her doctor as well, said the chances are she was having many heart attacks that went undetected, and that caused her heart to enlarge, and ultimately the heart failure, because it was working too hard to try to survive. Um, that's basically in a nutshell what she passed away, without going through all the yucky
Yeah.
details.
And I feel like I'm sorry to hear that, and I'm sorry that that happened. Um, but you know what I believe.
Hmm.
Uh, and I just sort of wondered how your world shifted in the aftermath of all of that. Like, what happened to you?
What happened to me? What happened to me died with her.
Yeah.
Um, the person I was on December 5th definitely is not the person I am today. My world is uncertain, unknown, and I'm trying to figure out what the new me is without my wife. So that, you know, trying to figure out how I got to walk hand in hand with my new partner, grief. Um,
Hmm.
so that my world shifted really, like, all the way around a 180. I don't know if that, it explains it enough or not, but
Well, I mean, it is your thing, and yeah, I mean, it's definitely a new way to live for sure. Um, because it's not what you were used to. It's now you're on your own. You're dealing with the sadness and the depression and the weight of not having her physically here in the physical. But what I'm so curious about too is like how what does your past look like in terms like because I'm trying to figure out how you ended up in my life. I don't think we ever talked about it.
nope, not really.
You you sort of wound up in my live one night and based on maybe your past, your history or whatever, what have you, I'm sort of curious how that may have happened. Um in terms of your algorithm and the For You page and all of that. What drew you in? What spoke to you? What didn't? And what has happened to you since Missy died to like now from just a spiritual aspect? Has anything changed?
Well, probably like most people, when a loved one passes away, um, we want to connect somehow with that person. We want to feel close to that person and such forth. We want, there's questions, there's answers, you want answers. You want to make sure that they're okay. You want to, well, for me anyhow, I wanted to know what I felt was right. So I
What were
did
you
that,
feeling?
that she's always around me, that there's a difference, when, you pass away, that, there's more to life after you die. Yeah, and I wanted validation that I was right, that I am right. Um, because there is no I
Uh,
was right. It's something I've always felt forever. But so I started scrolling through TikTok because my sister told me there's a lot of crap going on Facebook. I was writing to my wife area on Facebook, and people were putting their 2 cents in. And my sister said, "Why not try TikTok?" So I went over there about a month after Missy passed away, and I started scrolling around. And obviously, I'm looking for people to, mediumship or whatever. Um, and I fell into one where I paid her, a few bucks, nothing major. But when she said things, it was just kind of like, okay, whatever. Um, so, it wasn't a big waste of money, but still, I wasted $7. Um, and then I scrolled around to others, and I found a couple others that were worth watching and stuff. But and they saw things, because I got into one hive. They saw things, and it just still left questions. So how I ended up in your life was, um, just feeling like I wasn't being validated enough. So I scrolled through, and there you were. I sat on the outside for a little bit watching. And I'm like, she seems like a real person, especially when you start doing the markers. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to go into this because there's something about this. It's not just people in here trying to ask questions and you spitting out stuff at them. You was teaching something, and that's what intrigued me. And that's how I ended up in your live, was because you was teaching something other than just spouting off, you know, all the I don't know, you know, give me gifts, give me gifts, give me gifts. I want to be in the A and all this other stuff. You know, to me,
right.
to me, that's just people wanting to. How do I say this with lack of better words? I guess people wanting to take advantage of people's grief and sorrow. You
Yeah.
know, And that's what a lot of it is out there, So you got to be careful and really, really put your mind, open your mind up to the person to really, feel what you feel. And if you don't feel good about it, then don't go there, And I felt good about you. I felt good about you, period, from day one. Um, you know, and then, you know, you took the time out of your life to message me one day about about having another good day or having a good day. Um, you took the time out
Yeah.
of your life for that, and it meant something.
Well, I mean, I'm just another person just like you. I do have a small platform. It is small, but I'm trying to help people navigate, move through their grief just like you are. Because then you started your own life. And
Correct.
this is what I was wanting to kind of get at is, well, one, I want to circle back around to if you found some answers or if you felt validation with what you were feeling, right? Missy's near you. Her life continues on. Her soul is there. Um, and how you are turning your platform, your small platform too, so you both have these small
Little bitty.
into helping other people move through their grief, and I feel like that's why we connected. I feel like that's the parallel thing, I don't feel like it was accidental. I was just curious what was going through your mind when it happened because 'cause I've never asked you that. So, um, it feels like you were just sort of feeling it, and then you landed there and it felt right. It is what you're saying. It felt
100%.
right for you. And that's all that is just leaning on your feelings, your gut feeling, your own intuition to kind of guide you, right, into the paths that you're supposed to take, whether they're good or bad. That
100%.
it Yeah. So now you start your platform. Now I'm going into your lives.
Loving each other, right?
That's right. It's supposed to be helpful to each other, right? It's
Yes.
supposed to, like, I heard you use the word community and like in your lives, and I'm not sure if you've ever prior to recently knowing, like I feel that way too. I'm making a community for people who in their normal life can't talk to other people about their grief.
Correct.
It sucks. So I create a space and we talk about it and we all come together and just share energy or just be there for each other where we learn to lean into our intuition. And yeah, there's some readings because that's what people want to know too. I do have to showcase that as a medium. I want I
And you're
want
good
to
at
give
it.
it to Well, I don't know about that. I just get what I get, right? But I also want to really make those connections in a genuine way, and I don't feel like in on that platform, in that setting, charging people is the right thing to do. I just don't. So, if somebody feels called to do that, they can do a private, right? Or now this super fans thing. But let's talk about your platform. Your platform, you started for what reason?
To be heard, not necessarily myself. It was a way to not only try to heal myself
Yeah.
and to understand that things that I'm feeling,
Mhm.
and I mean everything, whether it be the anger, the sorrow, the every bit of it, to know that I'm not alone in that feeling, and in the same process to let other people know that they're not alone either in what they're feeling, because um some people aren't heard. You know, we 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 put on a face when we're out and work or whatever else to hide how we're feeling because the majority of the people around us don't understand what we're going through. And I mean, like the people that have lost children, spouses, significant others, dads, mothers, aunts, uncles, grandparents, people that we're close to. And like one day at work, I was having a moment, and a coworker came up to me and says, "Everything okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm just having a moment." She rolled her eyes at me. Um,
Mm,
you know, if people don't want to hear how you're feeling, don't ask. And so you learn to just zip it up, put on a fake face for everybody. The phone calls you get right after somebody passes away, everybody's on you for the first 2 weeks, and you feel smothered, and you're still trying to process everything. And then
mm-hmm.
about a month later, things have mellowed out. Month two, there's almost never a phone call to find out how you're doing. So what I decided to do was just start a live, calling it the daily phone call. People can come up, jump in the boxes, talk about whatever they want to talk about. If they want to talk about a bad day, a good day, if they want to talk about how their child passed away or their husband passed away, I'm here. We're here. The people in the chat are here. The people in the boxes are here. We're here so you can be heard, so you can feel validation, so you know that you have a voice, and it seems like when somebody passes away, your voice is taken away, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. That's valid and it's real. And I'm so glad that you did that for people. It's so good and kind. And that's exactly what I'm doing, just in a different way. I'm using my gifts in order to benefit people for their highest and greatest good. And but you are too. You're using what you have available to you right now to help people. I think that's beautiful.
And I think what you're doing is awesome. Yeah, I really do. I've enjoyed every read you've done. They're awesome.
They're very different, aren't they?
Yes, they are. Yes, they truly are.
So funny. It's so funny. So for the listeners here, I just also want you to know that I do an intuitive workshop. Um, the intuitive workshop that I am conducting, when I first started it, had 12 people join, so I had to split it into 2 days. I invited Todd to come into that particular workshop to be a sitter for these students. And because what we learned is we started with intuition, but very quickly, like by week two, I learned I had 12 mediums, which was really interesting. I was like, well, I always say that everyone can do it because I was 52 when it happened to me. And I was like, if it can happen to me out of nowhere, we all must have this, right? So I would check around, and sure enough, not everyone wants to or should be working with the public, and that's perfectly fine, but we all have the ability to do it. We are not all Kobe Bryants, right? But there is some skill level to all of it. And what I want to say to the listeners is that Todd came and sat for the practicing or the developing mediums, and I'll let him tell you what he experienced in that, because I think even in that, those developing mediums, you probably had more come through there than the two previous encounters you had, is what I'm understanding. Is that correct? Yeah, they were pretty profound because I went into a break room and you were crying. I was like, "Oh, a good one. We're doing good here then, yes?" You're
Yes,
like, "Yeah."
yes.
That was
Um,
good.
um, the the I don't know, the one young man. We both know his name, but I
Jackson.
don't. Yes, I didn't know if we were okay or not. So, he said a whole lot of things that were very spot on. And then when you came in the room, you're like, back up and start from the beginning for what you very first felt. And as soon as he started pulling that, he described almost everything 100% from the time Missy started to pass away, pretty much, from when the heart attack happened or whatever, um, up until, you know, pretty much the paramedics got there.
Well,
Uh,
I think that was Keely. I think that was Keely who did that
no,
with
that was
you.
Jackson.
Oh, it was Jackson. Okay.
That was
Okay.
Jackson. Yeah, that was Jackson. Straight up Jackson.
Wow.
Yeah. Um, yeah, straight Jackson.
Wow. So you got this. So then you got your validation, right?
Yes,
That she continues on and she
yes.
was communicating. What did that feel like?
Man, it was so real. It was so real. Every bit of it was so real. And and to know that somebody that didn't know nothing about me, that couldn't even have looked at any post or nothing, had no clue who I was when he went into that room with me, was able to
Yeah,
describe every bit of it. Um, completely validated everything that I could think about. You know, I could think about when it comes to mediumship.
right.
Um,
And so
and
it
then,
validated what you were feeling already about her being
uh,
with you.
uh,
And did that change your feelings or did it change anything? I mean, I don't know if it did or not. So I don't know the view after those first few sitting sessions with us.
um, well, it didn't change no feelings because I've always felt that that was possible, but I've never had it done before. So, so to change feelings, it never changed feelings. It told me I was always right. I was always right. I was always right from as far back as I can remember. I was always right. Um, that's what I can say about that. And then the second weekend, was it the second weekend? No, it was
Was the
the
next
second
day.
workshop. Yeah, the second workshop when Missy's father came through. Out of all people,
Okay.
Missy's father and Kathy, I think her name is, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Kathy was the one that got Missy's dad, and she was able to tell me everything I know about that man from the time that I can remember that I've heard stories, um, playing in the band and in the bar and uh, Missy and her brother watching and stuff like that. She didn't have all the actual details, but she had the things right. And I just filled in the details of, like, she said a venue and the kids watching, and it was the bar that Missy's dad and mom owned, all the way up until the time he passed away. And then I did ask her one question, whether or not he was coherent enough, the day Missy and I got married, if he remembered it. And the one thing I didn't tell her is he sat straight up and tried to hug Missy and I as soon as we said I do. Um, and she said that yes, he was coherent enough to understand what was going on. So, I know he sat up and I know he went to hug us, and then 2 days later he passed away.
Wow. That's really, really great. It's so meaningful when those memories that the medium would never even know. Those are personal memories that you don't write about or they're nowhere you can find on the internet, you know?
Yep.
Um, when they come through with those validators and those pieces of evidence that are so very clear for you, I'm sure I know that that had a profound effect on you. Um, but then what does it do to you? Like, as a person who then starts to sit at a grave where you're at now, you're at Missy's gravesite.
Yep. I'm right here.
What a beautiful tribute for Easter, right? And I
Yeah.
know that you don't eat any meat without sitting there
No.
outdoors with her.
Um, as a matter of fact, I stopped before I got here, and it's out here for the animals. But yeah.
That's so great, I love it. That's
Yeah.
great. I think that's so beautiful of you to do for her in honor of her. Um, but I'm curious, you sit there and you talk to her, and sometimes you do your lives from there, and sometimes you do short videos from there, but what else has happened there?
Oh, um, well, let's see. One day. somebody I know um, said something to me about, just kind of relax and think about, you know, what 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 the greater purpose is. And when I did, I kicked back in my trusty chair here, and the sun was out like it is right now. So when I closed my eyes, the sun was, you know, illuminating my eyelids. So I'm like, how can I do it this way? And I had a stocking cap on, so I pulled it up over my eyes, and I decided I was going to sit there and try to think about this.
Mm-hmm.
And in the process of doing so, a like uh, the best way to describe it is like off in the distance in my eyelids was a light, but it was very cloudy. And I tried moving my eyeballs all around with my eyes closed, trying to see if this light would move with my eyeballs. And it didn't. It stayed right in the center, right dead center.
Mm-hmm.
And it never got brighter, it never got darker. And then the strangest thing happened is there was a windy path that looked and what like I think I described it to you this way. I know I did to somebody else. It looked kind of like the Michael Jackson video where he was stepping on the blocks and they would turn white, and then the black ones would turn white. Well, this was all lit like that, every bit of it. There was no black path; it was all complete white, and it led to this big, huge black door with no knobs, and it had some sort of like illumination around what would be like the door jamb area of the door, but there was no door jamb. It's the hardest thing to,
Well, I know
describe.
exactly what it is. I've seen it many a time, so I understand.
Well, that was like, what the heck, I wasn't touching that door. I wasn't going nowhere near that door. Wanted nothing to do with that door at that moment. Absolutely nothing. It just to me, something wasn't right. I gotta figure out what in my head is telling me all this, that there's got to be a reason. There's got to be a yeah, there's got to be a reason for it. A reason that can be explained away. That's what I was looking for. Um, and as I pulled out of the cemetery, some weird name popped in my head too, and kept telling me I needed to talk to him. Their name was Dave. Um, you know, and that Dave name bothered me all night. Um, and that's pretty much what happened one day when I was sitting out here. But I do that a lot. I sit out here and try to talk to Missy. I truly try to talk to Missy. And some days I can hear her talking, and some days, I hear myself talking for her.
Mhm.
But so that's what I do out here. I enjoy everything that's out here. I enjoy life that we can see. You know, it's a beautiful area. It's nothing but woods.
It's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. I'm envious that you get to sit there amongst all that beauty.
Yes, it's only half a mile from my house, so that helps.
Yeah, that's really good. Um, what's interesting is that all those different images that you were seeing, those are very real things for me. Like when I heard my father-in-law say, "Turn around," in my closet, I could hear that in my mind in his voice. So I was like, "Am I going crazy? Like what is that?" So when you say I hear her in her voice, sometimes in my own voice, I truly believe, like, listen to that, because that is how spirit speaks to us. It comes through as if it's, you know, our thoughts and dialogue in our own voice sometimes it's them, but it just depends. So I thought I was going crazy, apparently not. And later on, after I started being mentored by Victoria and stuff, like, I would close my eyes at night and I would see that cloudy light. When I tried to meditate, the very first time I tried to meditate, kinda like you, like, you're starting to open up and become like as your awareness expands, like these things start to occur, and you will see things behind your eyelids. That cloudy light, it will get brighter. You'll see pinpoint lights. Different things will start to happen. The light show at night, though, when you get up to go to the bathroom and you come back to bed, boom, download all these faces, all these numbers, all this stuff starts to happen. And that is perfectly normal, I think. I went through it a lot, and then I'd have these knowings. Well, things would just kind of happen. And I think that when you become more aware of audience, where you can hear them in your mind, um, it's just about trusting what it is. Well, we'll go over that tomorrow because we'll be doing certain things in the class to help us understand certain stuff and start to trust what we get. Okay. Because right now you don't trust it because it sounds weird. I think the first 8 months of my mediumship training, I had to learn to trust it, trust spirit. It took a long time. I got
Yeah.
kicked in the nuts a lot. I don't have nuts. Uh,
Uh-huh.
you know what I mean? Like, I literally would get like
Yes.
spirit one time. One, you want me to tell you a story? This neighbor of ours dropped this egg off. Okay, a duck egg last May. It was down at the pool on the cement near the jacuzzi, and it was really cold last year in May. And so it was abnormally cold for California. I had this egg in my hand and it's freezing cold. And she's like, "Oh, yeah, I thought Miranda, our daughter, would want to incubate it." And I'm thinking, and then what? And then I have a duck? Like, what? So I'm like panicking in my mind because I'm like, I do not need any more things to take care of. Like, I literally don't need this right now. But I take the egg, I put it in a container, I stick some paper towels in it, I put it in there, and I'm like, how the hell do I get this thing warm? Like, I don't even know what to do. I'm a city slicker. We learned that last night during my reading. I
Yes.
do not what kind of hunting stuff was, right? I was like, game? Is
Game,
that what you
dude.
call it? Like, I don't even know. So I go up, I put the duck egg underneath these layers of blankets. My daughter has a blanket basket in her room, and I put it under like 2 layers of blankets. And I'm like, it's not gonna get up to incubation warm like here. What do I do with this? And all of a sudden I get this thought. I see it's like spirit knows. Go get the like heating pad next to Billy's bedside. I'm like, thanks, spirit.
Mm.
So I go get the heating pad, I go back, stick it over the top. Nice little makeshift incubator. But 3, 4 days pass and there's no movement inside. I'm candling it and I'm not seeing anything. So I have to paint a room and I'm like, there's nothing here. This thing's going to rot in her room. But did you know that duck eggs are federally protected? I did not know
No.
that.
Seriously?
Yeah. I
Oh,
can't
wow.
throw that thing unless there's no sign of life whatsoever, or
Wow.
I will be arrested. They are federally protected, especially mallard ducks. Okay, so I'm shaking this thing and I'm not feeling anything. I'm candling it. I'm not seeing anything. Nothing. No signs of life. So I'm like, I'm throwing it away. And as soon as I made that decision, I'm walking it downstairs to throw it away. I get this light in my eyes in the shape of an egg. Okay, in my left eye, this one right here, in the shape of an egg, and it is glowing and sparkling and all these colors with an outline of like, I'm going to show you. I put it in my book. I couldn't even believe it. I don't know if you can see that very
Oh,
well, but
wow.
that's what it looked like. Okay.
Wow. Yeah. That's just
In
wicked.
my eye. Didn't look at any light to make it do that. Like, boom, it was right there. Like, when you like look up at the sun and the sun like, blinds you and
Yes.
then you close your eyes and you can still see that. No, it was like that, but my eyes were open like
Wow.
that. I knew it was being divine. There was a divine intervention happening. So I went downstairs into the bathroom with my husband. as I'm holding the egg in my left hand, I'm pulling my flashlight out, my phone out with the flashlight to candle it again in the dark. I feel movement in my hand. So I candle it and there it is floating around. I'm like, holy mackerel. I almost threw this thing away. But I'm telling you this story. I know it's a little bit long, but I resisted that thing for a long time. I wound up getting an incubator. It never made it. The egg didn't make it. Ultimately, it went with somebody else because I resisted the thing because I was like, what the hell am I going to do with a duck? I live on a 0 lot line property. It's concrete back there. This is going to be a mess. Duck poop everywhere, and like I don't know what to do. They're messy. They stink, and like I have a bunny, a dog, and a duck. Like, and what's it gonna do? I don't like the animals totally being outside by themselves. They need to be like normalized in my life because like beings are beings, right? So like, am I gonna have duck poop everywhere? Because it just falls out of. There's no holding it. So I'm like stressing out, and Victoria's like, "You're resisting." I'm like, "Yeah, no shit, lady. Of course I am." It's freaking me out. But she said, you don't, did you think for a minute that this is supposed to teach you a lesson? And that maybe you're not supposed to, maybe you're just meant to bring it life.
I'm going to be at the tennis court.
Okay. Okay. I'm taping a podcast episode. Goodbye. This is my life. Okay. So then I'm like, so I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, I'm resisting or whatever. She goes, maybe you were just supposed to bring it life, but not supposed to raise it. I'm like, oh my God, duh. Of course. Of course. I'm the incubator.
Yep. Yep. How about
Meant to
that?
be the incubator and not the actual person who's raising. So I found somebody to take the duck egg, but ultimately the duck, I don't think the duck made it because I don't think it was meant to, but it was growing rather nicely when it was here. So my point is, because I would sing to it, we would enjoy music. I was bonding with my egg, but then I was stressing about my egg at the same time.
Right.
So even the subtle like resistance can be that tug of war, you being on the other line of that rope, and if you have something to pull against or there's resistance on the other side that you're pulling, then that doesn't allow for good flow, right? It doesn't allow for the information or just the flow for you to like just go downstream, just like float downstream instead of trying to swim upstream, against the current. So I realized that, and that was a big lesson for me. Very big lesson for me. I've shared it with you and for the rest of the viewers for you all to, I guess, understand. Even the things that we don't always understand why they're happening or what's going on, they're happening for our benefit. And that taught me that. So as you navigate, like sometimes you don't know what's going on. You don't always need to know the purpose of it, but if it feels right, navigate, go. That's what I say. Because I've taken the path in front of all of you to help you avoid, what are those little bombs called? In fields, the booby traps,
Oh,
I like
yeah.
the minefield,
Minefield. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sitting
I've
there
already,
picturing it in my head and I'm like, boom.
so I can help navigate, but whatever works for you as an individual works for you as an individual. And so I'm I'm kind of interested to see where you go from here, and how you navigate through all of this pain and if you will transmute it from pain into love. We had this conversation last night, which is interesting.
Yes. Well, I don't think I shared one thing with you that also brought me into more thoughts about things of, you know, yeah. After Missy passed away, um, I found out that we screwed up and missed the life insurance policy transfer, when she got laid off from work. Um, So we had no life insurance policy whatsoever for her. So I had to come up with the money to bury her. Proud man I am, I was going to find the money myself somehow. I was going to dig through everything I could, sell everything I had to sell. My son started a GoFundMe. Well, while that GoFundMe was going on, I'm doing everything I can to come up with the money. And one of them was trying to refinance mine and hers car. Her car was in her name and her name only, so I couldn't do crap with it. But I was going to refinance mine. Got approved and everything else. And when I got the phone call for it being approved, I was only about a mile away from the finance company. So I was going to drive there and sign paperwork. It was going to give me $5,000 towards her funeral. And that's all I could think of was, okay, I got it cut in half. I was supposed to go straight at a stoplight, but I turned left for whatever reason. And then it dawned on me, hey, you're going the wrong way. And then I hear this, don't do it, you're making the wrong decision. And I drove down the next light. And instead of turning right to go straight, I turned left again for whatever reason. And I'm like, dummy, you're going the wrong way. Turn around. And I kept hearing that voice tell me, no, you're making the wrong decision. You're making the wrong decision. Don't do it right now. And so finally I said, screw it. And I went home. And didn't get that $5,000, but we ended up getting the money raised up. A friend came through with $2,100 to help out for a loan. I emptied out everything I had money wise, and it all worked out. 2 weeks later, I get a letter in the mail telling me that I had 4 options with Missie's car, and it wasn't going to be paying the payments. That was not one of the options. The options were buy it outright, trade it in, refinance it, which I couldn't. All 2 of those, all 3 of them I couldn't do because I didn't have the money. But the other 2 I couldn't do because my name wasn't nowhere on that title. And then the last option was just to give it back to him. All 4 of them options were no go, to me, including giving it back. So I called the place up, and he's talking to me about how much money I got to have. And I'm like, and it was $10,000. And I'm like, man, I can't do that. And he says, well, let me see what I can do. And he went away for a second, came back, and he says, I'll tell you what I can do. $4,900 and some dollars. It was I can remember $4,900 some dollars. No, $4,198. That's what it was. If you give me that on a one-time option, a one-time offer, I can give you the title of the car. And I said, did you just tell me $4,198 after you wanted 10 grand? He says, yep. And I said, okay, let me record this way I got it on recording. And he repeated it. I called up the finance company, signed the paperwork the next day, sent them $4,198. If I would have went and got that money for Missy's funeral, I would have lost her car. Instead, that voice was telling me, don't do it. I'm making the wrong decision. And I listened to that voice, and I ended up with Missy's car, the title sitting in my hand, because I listened to that voice.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. It's very important that we do that. And I'm glad that you did. That's just the flow. That's what I'm talking about. The right stuff finds you in the right moment when you listen. And you can't think with your brain because your brain will screw you up every time. It did for
Yeah.
me.
Yep. You're right. You're right.
Your brain gets in the way every single time. Wow, that's quite the interesting story.
Yep. You
As
and I share a more interesting one too.
we do. Do we want to share it?
That's up to you. That's your personal life, not mine.
Well, I don't care. I don't mind. You can share because you experienced it. I just validated.
Yeah.
All
Go ahead. You can go
I'll
ahead.
just say, while you were at the cemetery the other day, seeing that light in the door and Dave, it wasn't actually Dave. So you chose to write everything down and send it to me because you had this thought that you needed to check in with me or check in on me, right?
Mhm.
Was it yesterday or the day before?
2 days ago.
Two.
Yep.
Yeah. So you sent me this message and you said, "I don't know why I feel this way, but I feel like I need to check in with you and make sure everything is okay," or something to that nature.
Mhm.
I was like, "Having a great day. I'm so glad you checked in. We're good here." He's like, "Great. Okay." And he's probably thinking, "Where did that come from?" So then he writes all this stuff down that he was getting. And it wasn't that he was getting it randomly. He was seeing these visions in his head of somebody else's story. So he wrote it all down. He sent it to me, and I'm like, "Oh my God, that's my Uncle Steve." What was the other name that was in your head around that time?
Steve, which I associated it with my cousin because Dave is also a cousin's name too. So I'm like, it's just my mind picking names.
Like, literally saw this stuff. I mean, there was just a couple of things. I'm talking two things that were slightly different, but he saw this accident, this car accident. Later that day, my Uncle Steve's daughter got into a car accident just 2 days ago, okay? So, like, I feel like this was very relevant, and the pain, the head pain that you were feeling from that traumatic brain injury that he suffered from his fall, that was a very real thing that you were feeling and experiencing.
Oh, it hurt.
So, it's what you were seeing, it's also what you were feeling, right? Yeah,
It,
and
it,
so
it hurt. It was really, it was, boom, and it was like all this side of my face, my whole left side, man. It just hurt.
So I sent him a photo that I had snapped in the ER of my uncle, on life support and in the bed. And he said, that's, and I sent two other pictures. He goes, the first photo is what I saw. The second one I don't recognize at all, but the third one that looks like the man that I was talking to or that
Yep.
was
Oh, the
talking
uncle.
to me. And just a little bit younger, right? So
Yes.
it's like this thing where Todd was already receiving information because he was simply open. He was expanding his awareness. But then today we were talking, and so in the second book, I wrote the first book about my father-in-law. The second one opens with my uncle's passing, by the way. So it was so strange that Todd was getting that very thing. I've renamed him, not Uncle Stevie's, Uncle Austin in my book. And what is your oldest son's name with Missy, your oldest biological son with Missy?
Austin.
Austin. I started writing this book in September, you guys. September of 2025. He's been Austin and Iris are my aunt and my uncle. That's what I've done in my book. This is wild, just wild.
Yep. For whatever reason, tis the season.
We are braided and tangled together, and that is how this is all working. It's like nothing is random. There's no coincidences. Everything's by design. And so, for whatever reason, our paths were supposed to meet, cross, and we're supposed to take this journey kind of together, maybe merging our communities, the ones you've started, the ones I've started, in order to help people in the best way that we can, however that is. Some people are going to start their journeys and have experiences like we are experiencing them, and others are going to take what they can from it and have a completely different experience. But whatever it is, that they choose, they're meant to. That's what I think. What do you think?
100%. And I guarantee you, I probably would have never been in any of these lives if it wouldn't have been for Missy probably pushing me to these places. Because I feel she's around me continuously, you know. And she's directed me where to go. And why? Probably because I feel that as much as I want to talk to her, she wants to talk to me one day too. Um, and there's no way I'm going to do it if I don't open myself up to the possibilities instead of keeping
Yeah.
my mind grounded to what we're taught to believe and see.
It's funny that you say that, Like, I always think about how small our human minds actually are in comparison to the intelligence of consciousness or the soul. It is amazing to me how it all works. Like, all of it, how it in any of the readings that I do, it's always me that's screwing up, it's never spirit. It's me standing, but they have to give me things based on my own knowledge, like, they have to have all the knowledge of all the things in my life in order to have me understand it. So intelligent when you actually wrap your mind around that. So, like, why would I think that I wouldn't be able to expand on these gifts or whatever the case is? Like, I have to be open to all possibilities, even beyond ones that I can comprehend. And I think that's what Todd's saying. I just took the way around the mulberry bush. Um,
Which is why I'm
so
taking the course.
yeah. So we're in agreement. Love doesn't end, correct?
No, it don't. It keeps on going. Love's always with you. Just because, and it's hard. It's really hard because my mind and my heart always want to cry and grieve and feel alone and everything else. But yet the depths of me is constantly telling me I shouldn't be crying. I shouldn't feel alone because my wife is right here with me. She's next to
Mhm.
me every step I take. Every time I jump in my car, she's sitting in the passenger seat. When I go to bed at night, man, woke up in the morning with my chest so warm right here and the rest of me cold. Why is that? Because I feel she's cuddled up next to me. Um, the life doesn't end. There's so much more, so much more. And I don't know. I'm trying to find some sort of that little tip of the iceberg. I don't need the whole iceberg. I want to get into the tip and just be happy.
Yeah, and that's I think finding peace is probably where you'll land because you will get to happiness for yourself, but that's going to be further away. You're still navigating this, however long it's going to be for you or whatever, however your journey kind of winds up or takes you. But grief is not a weakness. It's not. And I'm so glad that you joined us or me for the conversation today because it's connection. And I feel like when we talk about things, they become more normalized. It allows other people to speak up. It allows other people to talk about it and try to heal. But we're going to talk about journaling, like doing our shadow work, our shadow journals, which will help you too through your grief. And I have found, and hopefully you will find this too at some point, but I have found my connection to spirit on the other side. My father-in-law, my father, my stepdad, my other stepdad, like the four dads and my uncle and my grandmother, it's all like they're all part of my team and I have such a close relationship with them, even more so now on the other side because I've learned the language, right? And I've learned how to tap into my senses to understand. And I also have great medium friends who read for me. And you'll find that too, because it is harder to read yourself. So you'll have great medium friends who you'll trust, you're gonna meet, and who will happy to bring you a message from Missy and keep that line open yourself. Your job is just to feel it when it happens, when you sense her energy around you in all the ways that you just described.
And I
Okay.
do. I do feel her all the time. And if that's the one thing that I can try to get people to understand and give them more comfort in, even if that's not me that gets to talk to their loved ones, I know that they're there, and I want them to have comfort in the fact of, you know, realize, they're there. It's not, you don't have to make up things for signs. They're there. They're the smallest things, and it could be the biggest things. Yesterday I walked over that way. Is my aunt. She's buried. She died 2 months before Missy passed away. But
Wow.
I walked over that way to my aunt's grave because well, for whatever reason, and I took the same path that way. And I'm looking down at the ground the whole way I'm walking because I don't like stepping on everybody's graves. And then I took the same path back, and somehow or another there was a turkey feather right in front of my face when I was looking down the second time through. I walked this cemetery everywhere around here because there's turkeys out here looking for another feather, and there was no other feather. That's me trying to explain it away.
Yeah,
There was
that's your
there was
brain
a
getting
feather.
away.
Yeah, there was a feather there. Missy was saying,
Hello. Hello. And the likelihood is the bird probably flew over you and it fell in the air after you passed. That's what probably happened. However, it had to fly. You had to have the thought to move past it. And then when you came around, it was right there in your path. That's how it works. That's how she would work, right?
yeah,
To make sure that you found right at that moment that you were supposed to find it.
yep,
Like it magically appears because she's placing it there in that way. But that's how your brain needs to understand how it works. It's through our thoughts and intentions and things like that, through our
yep,
senses. And that's how they speak to us. So I'm so glad that that happened. And I thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. Sorry for all the rambunctious stuff going on. Spring just started here. It's like door slamming and everything. Sorry, guys, I don't have this great studio. I have my office. It's, that's a real life. So I just love Todd. I love his story. I love where this is going for you because I know you're experiencing something real. And he's asking me these questions. I'm not telling him this is what's going on. These things he's bringing to me and saying, what is this? What is happening? Am I going crazy? So he's experienced them that actually on his own, just for the audience, because I'm not doing anything.
nope. And if
I
you
will.
they can come and check out, man. I'm not a BSer and all that, man. I'm straight raw. And she's 100% right.
Totally.
I come to her wanting to know what's going on because I feel like I'm going, a little. So I go to her.
Cuckoo.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, and I thought for sure I was going crazy. So I can only imagine what you're feeling like too. It's very confusing. And this is why I started the community, is for people exactly like you, Todd, who have had these experiences or are going through them and don't know where to turn. So when you land at my doorstep, I'm not turning you away because I had nobody to go to except Victoria eventually. But at first, I didn't even know Victoria. It was like a month and a half of torture for me. I didn't know what the hell was going on. But I wrote that plug, Peak Lion, everybody, get the book. This tells my story. I promise you, you will not be disappointed.
No, I will be
It will
buying that, by the
explain
way.
things.
I will
No,
be buying
you won't.
No.
I will get you a copy. Yes, I will get you a copy. You're a student, so that's part of the deal. Plus, I think you have to help me with the second book because now that I know Austin was the name of your son, that tells me that you got to help.
Oh, Lord.
All right. Exactly. You're going to be like, oh my God, what did I just read here? Like, no way. Based on everything you said, you're just going to be blown away. Okay. Well, thank you, Todd, for joining me this afternoon. I appreciate it. Remember, sometimes that the very thing that breaks us open is also what connects us to something deeper. Okay. Have
Thanks
a
for having me here.
wonderful Easter weekend. You are welcome. And I love all the Easter stuff around Missie's gravesite. I think that's so wonderful. You're a great husband. So don't ever think that you aren't. All right. I am going to see you guys on the other side next week. I've got a great guest too. Her name is Caitlin. She will be up and we will be able to get Caitlin's episode up the following Monday. Otherwise, have a great weekend, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye. Okay.